I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. From the crimes police are investigating to the issues affecting public safety in our communities, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that most of us only hear about when something makes the news. Today we're checking in with our local RCMP for a broader look at policing in our region, what officers are seeing, what residents should be aware of, what scams to be mindful of, and what we can all do to help keep our communities safe. Joining me are Staff Sergeant Geoff Peters and Corporal Lisa Horsman. Thank you both for taking time to come in and sit with us once again. We appreciate so much these regular check-ins.
Thank you for having us.
Some of the best feedback too we get from the community or from these shows we get to do regularly with you. I know it's been a busy summer here in Southwest New Brunswick. What has been on your radar, I guess quite literally sometimes, but what has been happening over the course of the summer here in Charlotte County that RCMP would like the public to know about?
So a lot of the things I don't think are any surprise to people. We have had a very busy summer. We get a lot of positive things to report on, and obviously some things that are still a challenge to us. So we're doing a good job, I think, of promoting the good work that our members are doing. So specifically, we've had some fairly significant drug seizures in the past 6 months, including a couple of what we consider to be fairly significant jail sentences for those. So I just want to highlight for people that, you know, the media releases are online, and CHCO does a great job of promoting those when they're pushed out, which I thank you for. But these are all solely through the hard work of our officers and digging and getting that information that we need to get a search warrant or search a vehicle and things like that. So we continue to tell the public, you know, any tip, any bit of information is good. We can add it. We might not be able to immediately get a search warrant and arrest somebody, but every little piece of information helps. And it's you know, I don't want to be negative, but it's kind of like trying to plug a dam with your finger. You put your finger in one hole, another one pops out. So that's the way we feel sometimes. But we look at this, you know, the small victories that we've gotten, and the hard work. Challenges, and I'm sure it's no shock to anybody in Charlotte County, copper wire theft continues to be a major challenge for us. We do have a number of resources that we're putting at that throughout the province. So it's not just a problem here in RC10 in Charlotte County. It's a province-wide, probably a countrywide problem right now. And I will say that there's a lot of work being done at higher levels to come up with some solutions to that, including partnerships with Bell, Alliant, and the provincial government are working together. And we're hoping to see some changes that'll help us out with things coming up soon. But I would just, again, I know people are frustrated with that, losing their phone and internet frequently, and we know that the areas that are getting hit, but it's kind of like whack-a-mole. We throw resources at one area and then they're gone to another area. So again, asking the public to be vigilant about things that they see, things that look out of place, especially in the wee hours of the night and the morning. That seems to be when most of it's happening. And again, any information, people burning wire, they'll burn the copper wire to take the plastic off. We did actually have, and I'll let Lisa speak to that, we had a fairly significant seizure that her team was responsible for of wire here a couple of months ago.
Wow, okay. And is that, I mean, I'd love to hear too. You must see more of this as the cost of living goes up too. It might be something that is on your radar even more. Yeah. But I'd love for you to elaborate, Corporal Horsman.
Yeah. So about a month and a half ago, we had a report of some copper theft, and the occupant on the land mentioned he was living on Crown land. So typically there's some privacy rules that we have to abide by in that, but with the government owning the land, we had the okay to, we flew our drone. We have a drone pilot on our team. So he went out, and sure enough, he was kind of flying over the area, and he found a large quantity of copper theft, copper wire. And so they had kind of a thing where they like cut off the wire, so he had it all, a whole setup there. But yeah, it ended up being really good because sometimes it is tricky.
A kilometer or so, of copper wire, and significant value.
Yeah. And it's kind of like Staff Sergeant Peters, like it's hard to keep up with it sometimes, so it felt rewarding to finally get some. But so
is it just me, or is there seem to be more and more copper wire, or is it just something I have paid attention to more so since being in this job?
I would say within the last year, we have noticed because at a divisional level, we are taking this very seriously. So it's being tracked and monitored, and our intelligence folks that collect our data in Fredericton, they're kind of gathering that all up, and we're deploying our resources based on that. So it is being watched. We understand the frustration and the danger to the public from that lack of infrastructure. So I will say that all levels of government are taking it seriously and working to come up with a solution. And I'll kind of point to catalytic converter theft a few years ago. That was rampant. That has basically died off, knock on wood. And we're hoping that the copper wire is going to go the same way here soon, based on some things that are coming down the pipe.
And how are the Bell, for instance, working with RCMP?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, no, fantastic. They're obviously losing a significant amount of money, resources, time they have to spend, the labor that they cannot spend, working on projects to upgrade things. So we're very fortunate that they're a great partner to have. They're assisting, working with us on some ideas and some projects that we're working on. So no, very happy to have them and the provincial government on board supporting us with this.
And since we're on the topic of the phone companies, we hear a lot about the scams the same way you do from the residents of Charlotte County. One question I get over and over again, though, is why are the scammers able to fake phone numbers that might say 506? They might be able to even impersonate Bell, which was something that we were getting phone calls about last week. Are the phone companies able to work with RCMP when it comes to scams, when so many of them are done? There also are internet providers online through phones. I just wonder how aware they are of the way their own system is being used.
I just think that they're kind of in the same boat that we are, that by the time we're aware of it, it's already taking place. And like this, I don't want to say the scammers are always one step ahead of us, but it kind of feels like they are sometimes. Mm-hmm. So there's, a large number of apps and things you can do online to spoof a phone number. And it's almost impossible for a phone company to kind of get ahead of that. So, you'll get a phone call and your caller ID will say Bell Alliant. The number will be the number that Bell Alliant would call you from, but it's not Bell Alliant. So similar to like everything that we talk about with scams, an unsolicited phone call from anyone, a bank, somebody purporting to be Bell Alliant, treat it as suspicious. Never give out anything to an unreported, unsolicited text or a phone call. If somebody says they're Bell Alliant and they're calling, there's a problem with your phone line or your account, say thank you, hang up, call the number that's on your bill, and give them your account number and ask that person. So you be the one to reach out. Do never ever take them at face value, even if it is them, which it generally isn't, because a lot of banks and phone companies and whatnot are not reaching out to their customers directly because of that. So I always say, whatever it is, hang up and call them directly with the number that you know to be real.
Since we've had our local RCMP coming in to do the show, which our viewers love so much, we've had the introduction of artificial intelligence in a way I think none of us have seen before, which I imagine from your perspective complicates scams, and once you're seeing people fall prey to, be it, I know I was impersonated last week. I had to get my social media accounts verified just because I'm not asking you for $50,000. I just want everyone at home to know that. People sent me screenshots. I do not want your money. Please do not send anyone pretending to be Vicki Hogarth money. But again, you see how easy they could go through your friend list, impersonate even someone from the community. How complicated has it made your work, and what are you seeing right now that is deeply concerning in terms of what people are falling prey to the more and more sophisticated these scams get? Corporal Horsman, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it can make for some very vulnerable situations, even with they can change voices and all of those things. So yeah.
And photos, I suppose, too.
It's kind of it's all new to us as everybody, you know what I mean? We're all learning about it, so yeah, on the job side, we're still learning.
It's the ones we're seeing, I guess, are things, and I'll use one as an example because we've had at least 2 or 3 of these reported to us in the district, is a fake ad of I think like Elon Musk or Mark Carney or somebody, prolific, saying, I made $1 million on this Bitcoin investment. This is a great idea. I encourage all people to do this. And it looks real, and it looks like the Prime Minister telling you this is and to people with, like you said, with the AI and every day it's less and less easy to tell if it's real or not. So people, especially older people, are a little bit vulnerable to that, and they trust in the system, and they trust in the politicians, and they think, well, Mark Carney's telling me to do it, it's good. And that has happened to a few older people, and it's sad. And it's through no fault of their own. But when you see the same thing over and over, as we like to say, or I say, scams are one of the crimes that I believe are 100% preventable through education, where pretty much every other crime isn't. And it's just getting that message out there. Like, I say it over and over, but if it seems too good to be true, it is. And you probably should have somebody look at it before. There's no get rich quick schemes out there. It's I know, we were talking about Bitcoin earlier, and that's increasingly a problem because it is such a complex technology to investigate for us. So us as frontline police officers, we don't have that ability to investigate that. We do have units that investigate that within the RCMP, but they are swamped. And it requires a lot of training and time to understand the technology. So again, I personally, I'm not going to say that I know anything about Bitcoin, but there are people, it is a legitimate thing, and there are people that are doing that on a regular basis. What I would again advise against is an unsolicited person that you've never met in person, don't know anything about, listening to that person say, I'm going to get you rich. And that's where the danger is, whether it's Bitcoin or investment scams or anything like that. Yeah.
And another one worth drawing attention to again is the grandparent scam. Sometimes pretending someone is in trouble. It could also be a romance scam where you think you have made a relationship with someone, and again something comes up where they need money. If you are hesitating, if you have a moment where you think you're being scammed, what's the first thing you should do? What's the first number you would recommend people call? Because I think that's the place I've seen people in the community. They feel overwhelmed and they don't know what are the most important steps to do.
Sometimes even if that phone number comes in, that might not be the right phone number for them. So sometimes it'll say like Bell Alliance. So you think you're talking to Bell, but it's always good to just kind of, through your own material that you have, find a number to contact them.
Call back.
And if you ever need to call us, we can always clarify, if it's, I know there's been some vulnerable situations where it's your granddaughter is in cells and she needs $5,000 to get out kind of thing. We as the RCMP would never call and ask for money, kind of similar to your situation. So just, try and educate yourself and just call the actual number to speak to those people who work for the company, and they can clarify if that's being requested or not.
Okay, and let's say it was a romance scam, something that you wouldn't have a company attached to verify. What's the first thing you should do if you start suspecting maybe you're in a situation where you're being taken advantage of?
As I think I've said before when I've been on here, we get a lot of those locally here in Charlotte County, and it's sad to see, because the minute somebody comes in and starts telling us the story of what happened, there's a few huge red flags. A person you've never met, a lot of times you've never even had video chat with them, so you've never physically seen them, and the minute they start asking for money, those are the huge red flags. And when people are telling that, when I hear those things, the first thing I tell them, because I want to be honest, is your money's gone, you're never getting it back, and we're never going to be arresting anyone because they're in Switzerland or Nigeria or Japan or somewhere that we can't touch them. And that money, we've had investigations where we've tried to follow the money, and it's bounced between accounts in 3 different countries by the time the person has come to the station to make the report. So it's almost impossible. But the biggest thing is just to stop and hang up and discontinue all communication with that person. If you have a trusted friend that you want to consult first, that's fine, but by all means call us and we can tell you within a few minutes that you're being scammed. And the worst thing you can do is carry on and continue these conversations. And Another one that we're seeing frequently with young people, and I think it's impacting young males more than females for some reason, but is the sextortion scam. So a young person is communicating online with somebody they believe to be another young person around their age. They're coerced or tricked into sending an intimate photo or video, and then they're blackmailed. And those are horrible. You look across the country, we've seen teens take their life for this because of the embarrassment, and it's horrible and it's tragic. Again, and first thing to do is to call us. And 99% of the time, all those threats and whatnot, they're just threats. They're not going to follow through on them. So whatever you're doing, stop, report it. Don't be embarrassed. It happens to a lot of people, happens to a lot of adults as well. So again, tracking these people down and holding them to account is sometimes not that easy.
What's nice too about being a small community is when you do report to police, it's people you know. It's faces like yours that you get to see, people that know you likely as well. So it makes it all the more comfortable to be able to do that. When it comes to repeat offenders, this is a topic we talk a lot about on this show as well.
It's Lisa's favorite topic. So.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you're looking at? I know there have been some big arrests this year as well, and how that might be affecting Charlotte County in terms of arrests.
I'll let you take this one.
So yes, and I know, and I'm not oblivious to the fact of the public sentiments and how people feel, and to be honest, it frustrates us as well sometimes. But as I said before, we have to work within the confines of the justice system. So we have to follow the Criminal Code of Canada, as does the Crown Prosecutor, as does the judge, and everybody else in the system. So it's easy to point fingers and lay blame at us, at the Crown Prosecutor, at the judge, which you hear a lot, but it is the legal system that we work in, and they're all operating within that sphere. So for us, the biggest thing and the misconceptions, I think, when we arrest somebody, we have basically three options. We have four options. We can release them right there with no charges or anything. We can hold them for a period of time in cells. So a common example would be somebody that's intoxicated and we don't want them to keep doing what they're doing, or they need some time to sober up. They're released without charges. Our next option would be to release them ourselves on a document to compel them to court, so are commonly referred to as an undertaking. That is the police release. And then our last option is to hold them, have them go before a judge or justice, and let that person determine whether or not they're going to be released. So a lot of people seem to think, why do these people keep getting out? There is a myriad of things that we have to examine on each circumstance and each person, determine whether or not we can hold them and take them before a judge, because we don't want to waste the court's time either. If it's something we can deal with ourselves and release that person on conditions, that's kind of the lowest common denominator, and that's what we want to do. But there are so the things that we look at are, what's their criminal history, what's the likelihood they're going to reoffend. And I know people will say, well, that person's a thief, they keep stealing. What is the likelihood we're going to let you out and you're immediately going to go do that? So in a case where somebody's arrested for an assault on a person and we're going to release them, and as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go back and tune them up again. Well, you just sunk your own battleship. Like, now we have to hold you because we can't. So it's repetition. If we don't know who they are, we can't identify them. And there's, what else am I missing? Price.
Yep. Public interest.
Public interest, yeah.
It's definitely, I know that from your point of view, you're working with the system itself, but it's great to be able to point that out to our viewers at home, just so they see it from your perspective as well, which I appreciate you always taking the time to do. We are getting into back to school season. So that means a lot of things for the RCMP. You're doing a drive for school supplies, but I also want to talk a little bit about back to school safety, things to keep in mind when it comes to even posting photos of your kids as well on the first day. It's a classic thing to do, but again, the more social media becomes a part of our lives, the more considerations we have to take. But you're doing some drives for school supplies. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this Saturday in St. Stephen at the Charlotte County Mall from 11 to 4?
I think so.
Yeah, 11 to 4 and noon to 4.
August 29th? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be collecting supplies and then we provide it to the schools. So it's typically a lot of like kids who might not be able to have those things that can really start them off on the right foot. So we try and work with the community to do that, and then, yeah.
When it comes to back to school safety, and this goes for both parents and kids now, because I think of all the first day of school photos you see on social media, one of the things to keep in mind as we head back into the classrooms and also want to keep kids safe. They're obviously maybe walking to school alone at times, many things to keep in mind as we head into September.
Yeah. Just remind the community of like the school zone speeds and everything as well. You'll probably see quite a few members around there. We do like to do that in this area, which I think is great. And yeah.
We also recommend that kids have a known word within the family that only the family members are going to know. So when it comes to things like a kid being picked up at school, especially the young ones, that nobody can pick you up unless they know that word. And it's a word that only the family would know, so things like that. And the other thing, drivers, everybody's in the morning in a rush, wanting to get to work, they're late, whatever. I've been there. Just remember that, little ones don't always do the right thing. So they're darting out between cars, they're running across the road where they shouldn't. We have to be cognizant of that. And I'll point directly to Milltown Boulevard in St. Stephen with the daycares. And I know I've had people say, well, the speed limit is 50, I was doing 50, but 50 is in ideal conditions. So when there's doors being opened and parents getting their kids out and little ones kind of running around the car, 50 is not acceptable. So just adjust your speed and use caution, because regardless of what you're doing or where you're going, if you hit a small child, it's not worth the 2 minutes you're going to save for getting to work, whether or not it's your fault. Like it's obviously it's the parent's job to control their kid running out between the vehicle, but kids don't always do what they're told. So
I wanted to touch on a news story that Natalie Sturgeon did for us here at CHCO in the Courier last week. It's your partnership with the Willow Center in St. Stephen. A really wonderful partnership, and I'd love for you to both shed light on how the RCMP is working with victims of sexual violence and the Willow Center to make reporting even safer.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sam Gullison, I've worked alongside her a little bit so far, and she's been nothing short of amazing. She's taken a lot of time to get that set up. So for a lot of members taking like a victim statement, it can be quite a vulnerable situation. So her kind of space is quite welcoming, which the RCMP or police aren't always known for having like a warm space that it's a big day for somebody to do that. So very welcoming atmosphere. And then she was able to set up all her video recordings and everything. So that's going to be a great option to have in the area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've always appreciated too. I think it's very moving to see the RCMP station in St. Stephen right beside Transition House. It's always something that warms my heart as well. Mm-hmm. As we move into fall, I know we say this in Charlotte County, we have seasons of both weather and people. Obviously in the summer months, it swells with both summer residents and all the visitors. How does that change your job? Obviously more people can lead to even more incidents that you have to keep an eye on, but it obviously changes as we move into September.
I would say things like, I've said it before, I think that, most of the population increase in the summertime doesn't directly drive our calls. St. Andrews is packed on any given day, but other than the odd fender bender, we do see an increase in driving complaints and traffic collisions and things like that. But we do notice like a drop in traffic overall, and then therefore driving complaints as we head into the fall. But a lot of our bread and butter type calls, whether it's mental health or property crime or things like that, we don't see much of a change in that. In the summer months, sometimes when it's warm, it kind of brings people out of their houses and they're wandering around the streets, so we have more of those types of calls as well. So.
It's worth pointing out too that our in the courts pages of the Courier, some of our most popular pages in terms of what the community is interested in reading about. So I do want to take this moment to just thank you for all the communications we've had, especially over this year. It's just lovely to have you on speed dial and to also be one of the first people you call when there's something of note. We appreciate that so much. As we close out today's show, any final thoughts you'd like to share with the community? I'll start with you, Corporal Horsman.
No, I transferred here about a year and a half ago from very different policing, and I really appreciate the people.
Where did you transfer here from?
From LaRonge, Saskatchewan. So northern Saskatchewan. So
So another familiar face you are going to see a lot of. Corporal Lisa Horsman.
Yeah.
And Staff Sergeant Peters, as we end today's show, any final thoughts for the community?
No, just I guess as I've said a few times, report crime to us. So we don't monitor Facebook. Things are on there and people are assuming that things have been reported. So if we don't know about it, if it's not called into us, we don't create a file for it. So no matter how insignificant it seems, we have a great online crime reporting tool that you can report kind of small insignificant things. But let us know. And again, that little, I've said it multiple times at different meetings and things, but that little piece of information that you have might be the piece that we need to put into a search warrant to do something major. So don't ever think, no crime too small. More calls at the end of the day equals more resources for us. So that's good.
I always appreciate your time, and so does our community. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
My guests today have been Corporal Horsman and Staff Sergeant Peters from the RCMP. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.